you the best. Knowledge is power, and it's only here on Bethan TV that you can acquire this knowledge. Interesting. And in the studio, I have a man of God, Paul Walia, who is a clinical psychologist. I don't want to bring the phrase that I used in 2023 of saying he is a regular here, because he used to tell me that Tari regular. But the fact is, he is an expert, especially when it comes to psychological issues and also dealing with mental health, supporting different communities in different areas. And from testimonies we've heard from people who watch this program, they have actually reached up to him and he has helped them. And he's here with us in 2024, still strong, starting strong, and we will again finish strong like we did in 2023. This is Back to Basics, and join me to welcome Paul Walia. Paul Walia, very much welcome.
Thank you, Moses.
Once again, this is Back to Basics.
Sure.
And you're smart.
Thank you.
Exceptionally smart.
Thank
Not
you.
because of the necktie, but I like the combination.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank you.
yes, Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
So how are you doing? How is the new year? And I know you've already started with your usual work in the community. Of course, this time doing it differently. Let me not say the same work, but doing it differently.
Sure.
And supporting and helping communities. So here we are again.
You know, it is 8 days so far spent in this year.
We are taking the year.
Yeah, we are taking the year. You know, one person as today morning, someone told me, Paul,
Yes.
it's 8 days of the 365 days.
Yes.
What are your achievements? Okay, I felt it was quite early for him to ask me that, but it was a good question. And because it is every day you should count your achievements. Every day you should count what have you done in today's life, what have you achieved, what have you developed, who have you touched, who has touched you, what have you learned, you know. So I felt it was just got me unready.
Unready.
I was still expecting Happy New Year, Happy New Year, but he had gone much faster and he had developed already and is already asking for results of 2024.
Of 2024.
So I feel you're not wrong.
You felt it was an unfair question.
It was an unfair question.
But when you thought about it deeply, I'm actually also trying to think about it. At first, when you mentioned, I was like, I think that's too early. But when you said when you thought about it deeply, because even if it's a bigger goal, but there are those small milestones, small things.
Stones, yeah? Small
a journey of 1,000 miles.
It begins with a step. And the things that we don't actually, after thinking about that, I realized there are things we don't pay attention to. Like some people, when I thought deeper, some people will achieve things like, today it has been a very happy day for me. It has been a day that I've achieved a lot of things. But we don't count that. We only want to count how many blocks you've built, how many roads have you constructed, how many classes have you made, how many figures have you added onto your figure on the accounts in any bank that you have. That's what you want to count. But there are things that are not easily seen and measurable, like things like, I feel happy today. So far, when the year started, it's now 8 days down the scale. How many times have you been happy? How are you enjoying this year? You know, how are you finding it? How are you relating with people? How are you relating with the society? You know, it's also something, because being in this world that has a lot of emotional disturbances, you find that many people will withdraw. Many people will stay sick wherever they are. Many people will stay emotionally down and broken. But if you're able to say, "Hi, Moses, how are you?" with that genuine smile that is reflecting what is inside you, then you have achieved something. So my friend was not wrong. He was right to ask me, what have you achieved so far?
So far in 2024.
Exactly.
I'm very sure that question, if I pose it to you, the viewers and listeners on this show, I think you would say, why would a person ask such a question?
At this early
in 2024, but
Exactly.
like he has put it, it really means much, because
Sure.
everything that you'd want to achieve, definitely there are small pieces that must be put together, including the immeasurable, like
Exactly.
the happiness you're talking about.
Yeah, Moses, if you look at, I'm very sure I've not said hello to the viewers, but I'm going
Yes,
to say
you will.
that. If you look at some of the cases we handle, someone can come and say, in the past 3 months, in the past 1 year, I've not gotten a day that I feel I'm so happy, or I smile genuinely. Leave alone smiling, but it says smile genuinely. Genuinely means what I'm showing on my face is exactly what is inside me. But if I say I'm happy, inside me I'm really happy, you know. So some people will tell you that, and it's telling you a year has 365 days. So that means 365 days, he does not remember any day he has achieved a genuine smile. He does not remember any day he has sat down with someone and they talked and he felt like, this has done me great. Others just don't remember the day they felt they've slept and slept well. You know, Moses?
Yes.
So this is something, if somebody tells you from the beginning of this year, 2024, that was 1st of January, till today, the 8th of January, I've been able to sleep and sleep very well. You know, that's an achievement. That is something that we need to celebrate and say, I'm happy to have this. You know?
Sure.
So that is it. Our viewers, I'm happy to be here once again in 2024. I think it's my second day to be here in 2024. 2024 has so far started well. I'm happy with what I've already achieved. I'm happy with the people I've added onto my scale, my list. I'm happy with many things. You know, I'm happy with the works I've so far done. You know, it's also something. Whenever you do work in the community, look at it and say, this is my work and I'm happy with it. So I'm happy with the works I've done already.
Yeah.
So it is basically a very wonderful moment for me and worthy for my smile. You know, it's worth a smile.
That's,
so happy to be with you again.
That's very perfect, and really the smile you wear tells it all. But then you've said you're happy with the things you've added, you've achieved so far. I've not heard you talk of things you've cut off. Did you have any encumbrances in 2023 where you were like, no, this year, my use of social media, for example, just an example, has been too much, and this year, I'm going to kind of either reduce or cut it off. And so far in 8 days, have you managed or the habit
Moses,
has?
they are there. There are things, of course, in the evaluation of the year 2023, there are things you look and say, this has been good, but right now it's not going to work out for me. This has been helpful, but in this coming generation or in this coming year, it may not be really of great help to me, so I discard that. So there are many that have been discarded. There are others I've just changed the way I use them. I know they're important, but maybe if I change a little bit, twist the way you use them, it will give a different look, and also it will give a different product. You know, so there are also many, as you brought it out very well. I think one time we were here discussing about addictions, and we talked about how social media, how technology, how computer, how phones have become so much another addictive thing that we are struggling with today. We've seen how many people will reach church and first thing they think about, not look at the pastor, not look at the priest, not look at the sheikh. They first of all get their phones to respond to the messages there. Other people, when they get into a car, that's the first thing when they get there. Other people, only thing that makes them makes the phone leave their face is when it starts dropping and they're afraid of the phone dropping, rain dropping into their phones. So that's an addiction. So when you bring that example, it is really, really important to look at and see and help ourselves, how measure ourselves, how far are we with that, you know? Thank you.
Very, very beautiful and insightful introduction of tonight's evening. I know everyone, it's just very perfect at this time of the year to look at what we achieved, what we failed to achieve, and what we've set as our goals for 2024. And in these 8 days, how far have you gone? Because you don't have to look at the whole. In September, first of all, it may be hard to change some things. but now it's just perfect to start looking at is the direction towards achieving what I said. So very, very insightful discussion. And dear ladies and gentlemen, I have to remind you that you can watch Bethan TV for Health on GoTV, free to air, and start times. But also, we comply with the technology and the development of social media. So Bethan TV for Health is available for you on different socials and X, YouTube, also on www.bethantv.ug. So you cannot miss any of the program. This is the only TV where you get to know basics and you live a healthy life. So this evening, we want to look at something that a layman sometimes will tell you that you're doing this because you missed a stage when you're growing up, in layman language, without knowing the psychology behind it. But you find at least someone, even an older parent, an older person, would say, oh, the way you're behaving, it's as if you didn't do this when you were young. Meaning that there is something that relates to either overt behaviors and the social cognition. And I remember last year with Paul here, we talked about the psychosocial stages of development, and we discussed the first stage. Definitely with Paul, you will have to again give us a review, kind of a summary of what it is, to align ourselves with tonight's topic, which is autonomy versus shame and doubts in early childhood. It's very important that we understand where we come from, because some things happen to us when we've grown, and sometimes it's not easy to reverse, and we struggle with such behaviors when actually there are things that were encountered when we were young. Like the saying goes, that a stick or a tree is easily bent when it's still growing. If you want to take this direction, you have to bend it when it's still young.
Yeah.
So it's malleable enough to bend and move towards that direction. But my dear, 20, 30 years, it might be hard. That's very important for guardians, for parents, for anyone that has children, and people take care to understand some of these stages. They may be technical. The reason why you should be hooked to this program, because with Paul, who is a clinical psychologist, he actually makes it very easily understood by everyone in our own words, the words that we understand. So autonomy versus shame and doubt in early childhood is the topic this evening. And I want to bring in Paul now let us understand these terms, autonomy, and then we have shame and doubt. Yeah. Help us understand what we mean before going deeper into the details of this stage.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Moses, thank you. As explained earlier, that autonomy versus shame and doubt. What is autonomy? Autonomy, as the word suggests, I don't want to differ so much from the English word. Autonomy, but being able to stand by yourself, being able to stand alone, being able to do things by yourself, having that confidence, that courage that I will do this thing by myself. Then shame and doubt. Shame is that feeling we get when we feel we are not measuring enough to do what we are supposed to do. Feeling I get when I feel I'm not measuring enough. You know, I've been told, let me just use a common example. I've been told to lay my bed, maybe use that. Okay, maybe to mop the house. And I'm not able to mop it well. Maybe after that, my mother is like, you've not even cleaned it well. And you know, that feeling you get that you've not been able to measure, to do this to the standard. You feel that ashamed. You feel that shame. Doubt is that feeling you get, questioning yourself whether you're able to do that activity.
Tuweka kasa.
Tuweka kasa. Yes, that's the right word. Tuweka kasa. You still, am I? I'm not. Am I? I'm not. And guess what, Moses? Today, in the world we are living today, these 2 or 3 words are so common. I think you've seen people who will say, I want someone to help me do this and this. I'm like, no, I'll try this. I'll do it. I'll do this. You see that? They're confident enough to do these activities. And on the contrary, I think we've seen people who we say, so-and-so or Paul, you're going to represent us here, and you see how this person is panicking and forging statements to tell you he's not able to meet that activity you've told them to do. You're going to represent us in maybe World Health Organization conference that is going to happen in Uganda, capital city, or the big city, Jinja. So you find that you're telling this person to go and represent you, but he's already forging. I want to give an example one time. In school, back in school, those are years, and it was a very perfect example for this, that in leadership, I just entered leadership at that time. I was the speaker of the Students' Council. So the initial cabinet had a person who was supposed to, she was always there. I don't know how she campaigned to get into this position, but the whole term, she was not seen anywhere. Now, it happened that this time there was a council that was supposed to sit, but the speaker was not able because he had lost his uncle who was so significant to him, and he was supposed to travel to the village for burial. So they said the deputy should come in, and that girl gave excuses that I don't want to give her this, whatever, just to find that she's excused from chairing this meeting. So we can give excuses to levels that even someone will say, could you just say that to anybody, to the public, because you feel you cannot do it, So those are some of the things, but these things don't begin from up there.
Before you go to where they begin from, like when you're explaining shame and doubt, and then the example you've used, it kind of takes me to confidence levels or something like esteem. Do we see a thin line? Are they kind of inseparable, or that is one basket of?
There is a thin line between these two. Confidence. I'm confident enough to do this. I have the esteem to do this. Just because psychologically we shall use the other words, the other terms, but it all begins from these things. I have this confidence to do this. I have I have this, I have the esteem to go and stand and tell them this and this, because it is in me. It has been built in me, and over years it has come. It has built. It has been building over and over years. So that's something. And also the other side, if you flip the coin, it's also possible that people are not confident to do what they're supposed to do, even what they are so capable of doing. They have the skill. You find that I'm using this example, is a teacher, but he's not able to produce, to go and attend to the students well. They've told him, okay, there's a new concept you're supposed to teach, and he's like, you find that he's all coiling around and finding ways on how she can disappear. Something like that.
So sorry, I'm asking a lot, but
it's okay,
there are some ones that come and this is an opportune moment to ask them. How about being shy?
Shy.
Is there a relationship with this shame and doubt?
Shy comes in this. Okay, if you are shamed, then you can easily feel shy.
Okay.
Even the other way around, if you're shy, you can easily. If you're shamed, you can easily feel shy.
You can easily feel shy.
You can coil and want to disappear.
So some of those things are outcomes.
Yes, outcomes of this. Yes. If you have doubt in what you're going to do, then you can easily have that feeling of, I'm shy to do this. If you really have doubt, I'm not competent enough in what I'm going to do, and it is naturally in you that I'm not going to do it. You have already questions, what am I going to do, all those things. Yes. So you can easily feel that shyness, and you fold your tail back and go away. You get?
So is shyness a disorder?
You're coming back to disorders. It can be not a disorder, but it can be a sign of a certain disorder. A kind of something that we can use to see why.
Why?
It's something that can give us a question that we may need to understand what is happening.
What's happening?
It can be a sign. Yeah, it may not stand alone as a disorder, but it can be a sign.
It can be a sign.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you very much. Very many questions around there, but you know, these are things that we need to, we've met these words, but sometimes when it comes now to how they kind of impact on our behaviors, on people's behaviors, then they need that psychological explanation, and thank you for that. As we continue to go deeper into it, the topic is talking about early childhood, autonomy and shame in early childhood. I would ask you, which ranges of the childhood are we talking about, and then maybe you can continue from there and explain the autonomy versus shame and the reasons why we are actually studying it, trying to discuss it.
Moses, thank you for that. This age we are looking at is basically 1 year. Some people, it's a range. We already say it's not like a dot or a line in the page. It's 1 year to about 3 years.
About 3.
Or some people, some researchers have seen it to be 1.5 years to that, or more, you know, something of that. So it's a range, basically a range.
Yeah.
But this is the origin for this. But this, I mean, it can continue with you. The effects of here can be seen even in the adult age. Actually, they will be more clear in the adult age.
Like 20, 30?
Even beyond.
Even 40?
Even beyond. Even on your deathbed. You know? So it's something like that. Now, I wanted to say, what is this that you're talking about, the psychosocial?
Yes.
As you know, every man, every individual is driven by his psyche. But this psyche or this individual is in a society. Now, that society has a lot it does on making who this individual is, or helping you or modify or influencing your thoughts, your psyche. You get me? Yeah, so the society has a great influence onto the individual. So how does this concept looks at how does the society affect or influence the individual, and how does the society influence
affect or influence
the individual?
The individuals. First, hold there.
Yeah.
That's a very good. You've paused it yourself,
Sure.
and when we come from the break, that's where you will definitely start from. But just remind everyone that we are discussing the second stage, if I'm not mistaken, of the psychosocial stages of development. And very important to understand this, because, like he says, things that we can manage when we are growing up might be hard, correct? And you can die with it, be with such behavior even to your deathbed. So it's very important to discuss this. For now, let's take a break, and then we will be back. Bethan TV for Health, this is Back to Basics. Just to remind you that we are available on different social media platforms, but also on mobile applications. For mobile app, Airtel TV and Yo TV, but also on mainstream media, Star Times, Go TV, free to air, and also on www.bethantv.ug. This is Back to Basics on our YouTube channel. Do not always forget to subscribe and also hit that notification button such that you don't miss any of our programs, because they are equally important. Welcome back. Before the break, we were trying to look at why should we invest time to understand the psychosocial stages. Briefly, that's the question you posed to yourself, and here we are waiting for the answer.
Thank you, Moses. I'll begin from where we say we relate this. The individual is influenced by the society, you know, where we live. So this society puts in something to either make you learn to do it or learn not to do it. You get used to doing it or not doing it. Getting back to a little bit, that is giving me why and what is psychosocial.
Yes.
Now, psychosocial, as I said, is getting this individual fit in this society, or the society affecting the individual to start behaving the way he's behaving. He may not behave exactly like the society, but the society has made him behave the way he's behaving.
So is it a two-way, how an individual impacts the society, or how the society impacts on the individual's kind of behavior?
The concept really, it can be the two-way, fine, but the concept really looked at how, well, this concept was built by a man called Erik Erikson. So he looked at how this psyche, the individual, for him he was trying to look at the behavior of the individual. But this behavior of the individual is being influenced by the society. So he's looking at the individual in the society. Okay. The individual in the community.
Yes.
You get? So as it started last year, I don't remember which month exactly or which episode, we looked at the first stage, which is trust versus mistrust. So in that way, as we come, we are born, or we are conceived in the womb, we start developing, we start knowing that there are people beyond me. So these people here, what can they do for me? Or what can I do for them? You know? So if, you know, when you're born, when you're still young, you're just depending entirely on your parents, especially the mother. Now, this is why you call the mother, the parents, to be closer to this screen and this program. It's very important to them. So at this time, the child is looking, the first stage, I mean, that we said it's called trust versus mistrust. At this particular time, the child is looking at this new world he has come. Remember, he has been in the womb, and the womb, everything has been provided.
The comfort of the
comfort zone. I think it's the most comfortable point. That's why we forget everything.
I think so.
That has been there, because it was so comfortable that we had to forget everything. So it is that moment. So you
first repeat that. It's so comfortable.
Yeah, the womb is so comfortable for the children
that when you are out, you
forget everything, because it was so comfortable for you. You know, you don't need a blanket, you don't need a fan, you don't need anything. You're just there. You know. Yeah. So at that time, you get out. A child is delivered, is expelled out of the womb. Now, on reaching out, he sees things change. Where he didn't need a blanket, sometimes he feels cold. Then he's questioning, if I'm cold, what can these people around me do to help me take away this cold? For me to feel comfortable. And it will communicate by crying. I'm not feeling comfortable, it will cry, it will cry. If the world or the people around there don't respond to this child will start saying, these people seem to be bad people. I can't trust living with these people. That's where the trust versus mistrust come. But if the people are there to say, oh, you're feeling cold, can we put this, what do they put on children? Mother Sudan has children.
Yes.
I think whatever they could put this child to feel. Yeah. They put pampers in this child. If the pamper is not comfortable, it's full, and the child, you take it away, that this child feels comfortable. If it's, whenever this child is crying, it's trying to communicate something. But when you come to respond to them and remove that crying, then the child will start learning, oh, these people I've found could also create an environment similar to the one that was in the womb, a comfortable environment.
And that's the trust that is built.
The trust that is built. If you don't respond to that, then the child is going to be like, why? Why are they like this? They must be bad people. So I don't trust them. So they will learn not to trust. That is the first stage.
That's the first stage.
And remember, that stage we said is from zero. Actually, sometimes we say it's from conception to about 1 year or 1 year and a half. Now, we get to the second stage, which is the autonomy versus shame and doubt. This child has started growing a little bit. He is now able to do some activities by themselves. And, you know, that's like, you know, when you've been told to drive, I'm going to use this example. If you've been told to drive, at one time they are going to teach you, the driving instructor is going to be there with you and is going to maybe sometimes, I don't know why they are so tough, they're going to always command you to do this, they're going to command you to do the other thing. But at one time, I remember when I was learning the driving, my driving instructor got out without me knowing. He jumped out of the car and he wanted me to go by myself. So that is something I want to try out myself without anybody around me. Or if they are there, another thing that he did, he was there and he started praying. He was a Catholic. He got his rosary and started praying. And he was deep in prayer. I was like, gentlemen, I thought we came driving together, you know? But he was trying to say, I think he was trying to communicate to me that, Paul, you can do yourself.
Be on your own.
Be on your own. So he was trying to build that in that if you're on the road, you're able to control. Tomorrow I'm not going to be in this car, you know, something like that. So even as children, at one time that stage now, between 1 year and 1 year and a half and 3 years, they've started also gaining that energy to say, now I want to show this world that I can. And they have small projects they want to do. Things like, I want to put on my own shoes this time. I want to dress my own slippers. Sometimes they want to go and get their clothes and wash them. Of course, they don't know what to do.
And try to cook.
They're trying to cook.
Isn't it those where we parents, they said that these children are spoiling things.
That is the spoiling. That's the beginning of the spoiling age.
The spoiling age.
Now that's when you see parents. And we have to be so careful. That's the time parents. I remember my dad telling me we had sockets a little high. I was like, but Dad, why do you have to put the sockets high? He says I changed them when our firstborn started getting into that age. Yes. So he wanted to do everything. So he sees. I think he used to see my dad put sockets. Plugs into the sockets, and he also wanted to try it out. And that's when he says, oh, to keep this child to be still alive, I need to do an elevation of these sockets. So as parents, we need to look at that. But the correction of those mistakes that they're doing, or those projects, no, let me not call them mistakes, those projects that they're doing causes now what we talked about, the shame, the autonomy, or the shame and doubt. If a child is trying to say, today I want to dress my t-shirt, you've told him, please go get your t-shirt, and he's going to bring it while he's trying to put the head and trying to dress it. Many parents, because there are many reasons why they may react this way. Either they're frustrated, they don't have time, they are rushing to go take the child maybe to school, and then it's like, hey, you bring it, they shout, they bark at this child. Now that scares this child. It's like, I'm trying my thing, I want to see, but they barked at me, the person I expect to be telling me maybe, oh, this is good, Paul, this is good, Junior, this is good. Whatever name they give the child, he's trying to encourage them, this is good. But you barked at this child. Because
sometimes they are spoiling.
Yes, that is true.
Sometimes they are spoiling, resources are limited, and the only things we have in the house, this one is wasting them. And
that is something. That's why you see, I have a parent I know, I was interacting with him, he says, I buy toys for my child to spoil. They are his, let him spoil them. He says, at that time, they want to go and try out, they get it, they sit on it, they want to do, and something will get spoiled in one day.
In one day.
No, so it's okay. That's what I've bought it for, to get spoiled.
Not this practice of buying a toy and you protect the toy.
You protect the toy. You bought it for him, but as if you want to ride it yourself,
You actually hang it. If it's like these baby rides and those toys, someone puts it higher.
Exactly, where a child may not.
Yes.
So the child will keep on admiring and will be like, I wish I could have my toy.
Yes.
I wish I could have my car. So you're giving them that space of only wishes. It affects them in one way. So going back to the point that the way we are correcting these small projects they have will lead to either the child feeling, I can't do anything anymore. I don't have that energy to try out again. I may not take the initiative myself to say, let me begin this project. Hence the people you see that he's seated there, even though there are some things that he can do for himself, he will wait to be told, don't do this. Go do the other. Because it was killed at that time. You remember, and I told you that it can be at 1.5 to 3 years, but effect may last for long. So you find the person. Now, remember, and I told you, I think it was the last time I mentioned again, that what has happened will be a permanent damage in this mind of this person. Because if I come and I see you trying to put, even though at that time, that is when we start dressing or putting on shoes and they are the left leg is in the right leg, or the right leg is in the left leg.
It's a common thing for even if you arrange them properly, the child will do the opposite.
Exactly. Because they're trying out, they want to try out this project. What if I try it out this way? What if I do it this way? You know, they want to try, and the projects are just so small like that. They put on t-shirts, the inside part is on the top because they don't know. They just know it's only putting on. They don't know that you have to unfold it or anything like that. They'll put them on without ironing them. You know, they'll just something like that. So
just Paul, to ask you something. These, you've called them projects.
Yeah.
Let me also continue with the word project. These projects, do they kind of relate to the activities of the house? For example, what that family is always doing and what the child is seeing, or there are things which are kind of inborn?
They can be the two, but basically the first one is more important, more common, that the activities done in this family, the child will always observe. Children will always observe. They're like, okay, daddy has put the keys here. So when he gets the keys, he will go and put them in the car. And the car will start taking us. So they will know, okay, when he's not around, let me try it out. I get the car and put, it may not even be in the car itself. You may put it in a saucepan, on a jerry can.
But the activity, like, is explaining the process of.
Have you seen children? Have you seen children who get a phone and they will want to talk to daddy because I've seen mommy talk to daddy on phone. So they will call, hello daddy, even though the phone is off.
Actually, even something that resembles a phone.
Exactly.
Just get
a remote.
Yes, a remote.
They will start talking on a remote. So if you see them and you only laugh at them, they'll be like, okay, they will start getting that shame. I mean, I'm doing something that is, people are just mocking me, you know. Or you beat them and say, this is, you know, they will start saying,
why are you playing with the remote?
Why are you playing with the remote? I will never do this again. You know, I will never do this again. And it is permanent. As I said, it's a permanent damage. At some time they may say, but why don't I? It's a permanent damage. Now, I have a friend of mine. He's older than me actually. I will just not mention his name, but he's older than me. Today he's a PhD student. But one time as we were engaging in an academic discussion, he told me a little bit about his life. He says, Paul, one time I asked myself, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? He went to visit his brother. When he was much older, he was working. When he went to visit his brother, his brother went out, I think, to buy something. So he told him, he was preparing water for bathing. So on that, the percolator, I don't know what happened, but the percolator got spoiled.
Yes.
And inside him, he says, Paul, I started panicking. But then the question that bothered him was, why was I panicking? I don't think my brother would tell me to repair this percolator or to pay this percolator. But even if he told me to pay it, I had the money to pay the percolator. But his heart was not settled. He was all panicking and he was on pressure because something had happened. But then, when we continued the discussion, we found that earlier in life, the father was a very tough man. That those projects that they used to do, were always penalized by, very big penalties. You've not done this, you've not done this, the things. So the man, who is a man right now, the man up to today, it's affecting him. And he came to me, it was a discussion that we had, and then he says, I remember I asked myself, why did I feel that way?
Yes.
Because the percolator, how much is a percolator? Maybe a very expensive one could be 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah? That range, 100,000. But why was I feeling that way? You get me? So those things don't begin at that age, maybe 30 years or 40 years or what. They are rooted this side. So you as a child, as a mother of this child, what are you making this child to be like? And I don't want to forget that some of the things we do them because we don't know. Yeah. But when we get chance of having this information, let's try to correct the things. Many parents have this system of, even us who are brought up like that. If Uganda or Kampala had two taxis in the old tax park, then should we say we should maintain those two taxis up to today?
Definitely no.
We can't. If Kampala Road was Maram that time, shall we be comfortable with the Maram Road today? Things have changed. So parents who keep
we
on...
didn't have computers in classrooms, but
exactly. Today,
it's almost becoming unavoidable.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so
actually, a student, when he gets to university, one of the things, actually some of university, one of the things they give you is a computer.
The computer.
So if you say that even us were like that, we used to do typewriters. Okay, will typewriters help you today? So that stage is so important that it's going to build the confidence of this person. Giving a very good example of my PhD friend, my PhD student friend, he says today, and it's coming unconsciously. It's just after that we had a discussion, and he says, oh, it's the reason I was feeling this way. And now that thing can take you, like now this gentleman, if he has to have, imagine if he's getting such things like 10 of them in a day. How is this day going to look like? How is this week going to look like? You know, how is this year going to look like? We all talk about mental health affecting the physical health.
Yes.
So if he's in panic and tension always, how is these organs that are working or that are affected by the physiological reaction of the effect of the emotion, how are they going to be? Don't you think that's when you're going to get the psychosomatic reactions of physical diseases coming, or physical effects coming because of a psychological or an emotional effect?
Emotional effect.
It is what we call a psychosomatic.
Okay.
Something that is coming physically to affect you, but is coming out of a psychological or an emotional thing. It doesn't have a pathological effect. But it has come because of the psychological issue. You get it, Moses?
Yes, yes, I
so
get it.
as parents, teachers, nursery teachers, not students, people have taken students to school as early as 1 year.
Yeah.
So nursery teachers, you're in this kindergarten. Whatever you do, you're building this generation. And this generation you're building, it has you have a lot you're doing.
Yes.
You're the society I talked about. You're the individual representing the society I talked about. How are you affecting this mind? How are you affecting this psyche? How are you affecting this individual? You get it, Moses?
Yes, yes,
so please, as we relate with these people, let's put that in mind. What are you going to do? Let's look at a generation that we want to be free and able to express themselves. Free and able to say, this is what I want, this is what I feel. I'm able to do this. Now, the other effect, some people are not able to do things, but they don't have the confidence to say no. No is also an answer that you can say and speak. It is not that you're going to die with the cross. I mean, you're not Jesus. You're going to die with the cross. You said, this is what I can take, this is what I can manage, and this is what I can't manage. I have a friend of mine I was inviting her for a conference that is going to happen this January. But earlier on, she told me, Paul, you help me communicate early in time.
Yes.
But the people who are organizing the conference did communicate. So when I communicated, she says, no, Paul, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry, I'm going to give you disappointing news. I'm not going to make it because I didn't plan for it.
Yes.
You know? Other people, you put them in that, they'll say, okay, I'll try. They don't have the confidence to tell you. But because something was not made, it was trashed, it was crushed at that particular time. So they don't have the confidence to tell you, I can't. Oh, I can't.
So decision making is generally
very affected.
Yes, Paul.
Yeah.
We're trying to reach the end of this conversation. I know it's like the things you're talking about, they are fundamental things and things that we resonate with. So I know it can go on and on and on. But just as we try to conclude, you've explained if a child successfully goes through that stage, maybe this is a child that has been given that freedom to try out things and he is supported in the right way. And then another child has been kind of either intimidated, stopped, or even punished. So I can say maybe has failed to go through that stage properly, successfully.
Yeah.
What are the, just one on each side because of time, but what are the outcomes now looking at our ages in the adulthood, and what are some of those outcomes from the success in that stage and also failure in that stage?
Let me begin with the failure, because this is where people would really want to look and correct. Some people have a lot. There's a picture I always do when I'm in my presentations, a lot of piles or load of work on their plates. Why? Because they're not able to say no. So they're not able to do that, but they will say, I'll try, I'll do this. Some people have made trips and you find that they're not comfortable with those trips because they can't. Some people have failed to perform, not because they are not good, but they are not able, they don't have the confidence. You see somebody has written a very good concept, but is not able to present it because he has doubt in himself. He doesn't know how to do it. That is on the negativity.
Yes, yes.
Successfully, we've seen people who have freely been able and open to accept what they can. They've been able to say, this is the much I can do. This is, I can do this. They've been able to take what they can do. Presentation, confidence. I don't want to give the examples of what, but just know people with confidence. Sometimes it's connected. However, I always leave this footnote that the destruction of this may not only be because of that, but it can be part of that.
It can be part of that.
In the middle of the route, something can happen.
Wow. Then, lastly, Paul, how do we, just one or two, how do we manage and kind of come in as parents to properly support our children through that stage to achieve the success kind of direction, to take the successful direction?
At that stage, accept that these children are trying out to do what you're doing. Actually, they are copying your projects. So many times, if they have done that project and have not done it well, many times I always tell parents, appreciate what they've done, appreciate their efforts, then correct. Don't back as a way of correcting. Appreciate their efforts. Thank you for putting on these shoes. But you know, you put them on wrongly. This one is supposed to be in this leg and this one is supposed to be in this leg. You know, thank you for trying out. I've really liked the way you've tried it out. You're talking to these kids. People say they are too young to understand that. They do understand this. You know,
Yes.
Don't underestimate
That's
that.
a common perception, by the way. Yes.
Because a person who is telling me, I don't like this, or who is backing at me, is easily distinguished from a person who is saying, thank you. The facial expressions. And children will really look at the facial expression and they'll say, Mommy is happy with what I've done, but he has also corrected me. Or Mommy is going to bite me because he's now a dog. You know? Oh, Daddy. Sorry, I use female only. Oh, Daddy, you know? So please, correct in love. Correct in love. That is the only way to say it. Correct in love. Don't say, now, no, Paul has said, no, I will not say anything, let them continue. You're again spoiling again. Correct these projects in love, because if you just let them be, imagine today at this age, Moses, you're putting on shoes this way. You know, it will not be good. Correct that mistake, but in love. Let them appreciate it. And if you want more skills on this, I always say, get me on my phone number. 0705 23 99 98. It is just 0705 23 99 98. So please, those can be helped. And if you find that today you are in an adult age, and you know at that time this is when things went left, look out. Use the same number I've given, or look for any therapist. Don't wait to see Paul. If Paul is not around, sometimes I'm quite busy, sometimes I'm not easily available. Get any therapist around. They will do what they can and they will help you.
It's not always too late.
It's not always too late. We can start to change.
Perfect, Paul. Thank you very much. I know we can go on and on. Good enough, you've left your contacts, and I know these are things sometimes that we unconsciously we find ourselves bringing up our children, and then we kind of give them something that would affect them in future, and we would not want that. So I thank you very much for sharing, and knowledge is power, and it only happens on Back to Basics here live on Bethan TV for Health on your favorite program. Thank you for being part of this discussion. Thank you for staying awake and watching this Back to Basics, and we are committed this 2024 to keep giving you more. Otherwise, from me and Paul, we wish you a very happy night and see you next time. Bye-bye.